Technology is something that I have grown up with. I don't remember a time where I didn't have technology in my life. Over the years, more and more tech has made it into my daily life, with my first email address, using cloud storage, having a phone. And as technology's presence in my life has increased, I have to stop and ask the question, is it actually helpful? Is it actually helping me to reach my goals? I've been noticing that as my use of technology increases, so does my stress levels. It's really hard to seek discomfort when I've spent all day being comfortable scrolling through social media and playing video games. And I've realized just how much time I'm losing doom scrolling on YouTube, time I could be spending working towards actual goals that have meaning and purpose in my life. I really look up to people like Cal Newport and Matt D'Avella, who are trying to use technology really intentionally to help them towards their goals. They know that technology is a tool that can help them to do great things and to actually achieve those goals, but they also know that technology has the potential to be a distraction and a stress causer that actually inhibits their ability to achieve their goals. So in an effort to be more like them, I want to take inventory of my digital life. I want to declutter things and try and use it intentionally to serve my goals. I believe that digital minimalism leads to mental clarity, and that in itself leads to more focused and intentional goals. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I decluttered my digital life in 12 steps that you can follow along with, so you can start ruling technology instead of being ruled by it. Let's jump right in. Let's get to step 1, which is to delete apps. Just go ahead and delete them. If you're not using them, they're not adding value to your life. So go ahead and get rid of them. Take a look at all your devices. Look at laptops, look at iPads, look at phones, look at computers, look at gaming consoles. Try and look at the apps on there that you're not using and just delete them. Get rid of them. I like to try and use the 90-day rule for this. The 90-day rule is that you should try and get rid of things that you haven't used in the last 90 days and you don't plan to use in the next 90 days. And a lot of apps fall into that. My goal is to have a home screen on my laptop, on my iPad, on my phone, which only has my daily use apps. So I've got my iPad here. It's kind of new and it's got a bunch of apps already installed on it. Thanks, Apple. But I'm gonna show you just the apps I can delete straight off the bat, because I wanna try and clean this up, make it really minimal. I don't really use Maps. I use it on my phone, not on my iPad. If I do use it, I'm using Google Maps, not Apple Maps. I can get rid of Apple Maps just straight up. Home. I don't use Home. I have no devices that are set up on it. The app is completely useless to me. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. Also, for example, things like Mail that are on that little bottom menu, the dock menu of my iPad, I'm gonna delete those things as well, because I want the dock to be really minimal. I wanna only see the apps I actually need there. So I'm gonna keep clearing this up and I'll show you what my finished iPad looks like once I've deleted all the apps I just don't need. This is actually a bit harder than it looks. I come across a lot of apps where I think, oh gee, I'd like to use that. Maybe it'll come up at some point in the future, but until that day comes, I don't need the app on my screen. I also wanna get rid of any of these widgets and things that I'm just not using. Wow, so look at that. Already, I've cleaned down my home screen to only have 10 apps on it, and only a few in the actual dock as well. That's way cleaner, and I'm already way less stressed. I've only got the apps on here that I actually need. Okay, let me show you my phone, because I've already deleted most of my apps on the phone, but for the phone, I actually have some apps that I need every now and then for filmmaking stuff, whether it's the app that I fly my drone with or that I do the self-portrait timers with. They're helpful to have, but I don't need them every day. How do I reconcile that idea? Let me show you. So I've got the Sidus Link app here. That's Aperture, the light brand's little app for controlling all their light features. I use it every now and then when I'm on production, but I don't use it every day. So what I'm gonna do is not delete the app, but just remove the app and remove it from my home screen, the second option there. That way, if I wanna get to it, all I gotta do is go to the App Store and I'll just type in Sidus Link. And there's the app and I can open it as per regular. I can do the same thing for the Garmin app there. I can do the same thing for the PhotoPills app. I can do the same thing for the Ultimate Guitar app. So this is what my home screen looks like now that I've gone ahead and cleaned off all the apps that I don't use on pretty much a daily basis. I may even clean it more than this, but even this is a great improvement. It's only one page, there's no apps hidden on other pages, there's nothing distracting me, it's much cleaner. Overall, very happy with that solution. And you can do the same thing with your laptop, with your computer, with your gaming consoles, anything that has apps. Go ahead and delete the ones you don't need and see if you can remove the ones that you still need but don't want to see daily off of your home screen. Let's move on to step 2, delete your contacts. People that you haven't talked to in the last 90 days or you don't anticipate talking to in the next 90 days can just be deleted off of your phone. Another classic is if you don't know their last name, i.e. their contact has no last name, just delete them. You probably don't know them well enough to justify keeping the contact. It's like that time at work 5 years ago when Bob popped his head into your office and was like, hey, can you call Jim? And you're like, yeah, sure, what's Jim's number? And he's like, are you ready? I got it here. And you're like, new contact, Jim. Okay, yeah, send me the number. And then you call Jim and say the one thing and then you haven't talked to Jim again in the last 5 years. You can just delete hate gym. You can also delete group chats. Go through your messages and find group chats that are really old and haven't been used or whose purpose has been fulfilled. They can just go. And make sure you look through all your apps as well. Look through iMessage and WhatsApp and Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever it is, look through the messages there, look for those group chats, look for those contacts that you haven't seen or talked to in a while, and just get rid of them. Remember, deleting someone's contact does not mean that you hate them or you don't value them anymore. The point here is just to declutter. We want to get rid of the contacts we're never going to talk to again, and getting rid of contacts makes it easier to find the people we do want to keep talking to when we scroll through our endless list of contacts. Point number 3, unfollow people on social media. I think I follow about 330 Instagram accounts, and I definitely do not find great value from all of them. There's a lot of accounts on there that are old friends I don't really catch up with anymore. There's lots of people who I liked one of their posts, so I thought I'd follow them, but since then haven't really found any value from their stuff, or they've stopped posting as well. There's all these accounts that I just don't need to be following anymore. So I'm gonna try and pare down my 330 to the top 20 accounts that I actually find a lot of value from and whose content I love seeing. And that's my recommendation for you as well. Find your top 20 accounts, and every time you want to follow someone new, you have to unfollow someone that you've already followed. So you only ever have 20 accounts in your rotation at one time. It's gonna make your feed cleaner, you're gonna get a lot more value out of the content that you're actually seeing, and it's probably gonna make you a little bit less cluttered in your social media life. Now, I'm not saying you can't follow your friends and family. I definitely, on top of my 20, also follow friends and family, and I also follow past clients or potential future clients as well, because those people all add great value as well. I just don't want to be following all those random accounts that I don't need to see and who I don't really connect with anymore. So go ahead and make a list of the top 20 accounts you actually find value from, and go ahead and unfollow the rest. And you can do this across all of your social platforms too. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever it might be. Is Twitter renamed to something new now? I can't keep up. So after putting this technique into practice for myself, I've gone from following about 330 people down to just 50. And it's 50 people whose content I love to see and actually find value from. Step 4, emails. We want to go ahead and declutter our inbox. Inbox zero is possible and it feels amazing. I was there once, I'm not there anymore, but I want to get back to it. Here's some techniques for how you can declutter your emails. First thing, unsubscribe from emails. You're probably subscribed to a bunch of newsletters or brand emails that you just don't need. You can go ahead and unsubscribe from them and then they won't be in your inbox anymore. You could also add a folder structure. I have a folder for receipts, which is whenever companies send me invoices for things, I go ahead and put it in the receipts folder. I've got a reference folder, which is for things that I might need to see again, but don't have to be in my inbox. I've also got a newsletters folder for the newsletters I do care about. They go straight in there. And I've got folders for my freelance gigs. Any communication with clients goes in there. So my inbox is completely free. Anything that comes in can be sorted into one of those folders or just plain deleted. Bonus tip, make sure you clean out that filing system every now and then. You don't want to have endless emails from receipts and references. I also like to try and delete emails that are over 1 year old. I usually do not need to see emails that are over a year old. Events have happened, projects have been completed. There's no real reason for me to have those, and any emails I do need are usually in my reference folder somewhere or filed away onto hard drives. You could also add rules for sorting your emails. Most inbox platforms allow you to create rules so that if certain email addresses send you things, you can automatically put them into certain folders. I have a rule in my inbox which sorts the newsletters automatically into the newsletters folder. So any of the newsletter companies that send me things automatically go into that folder. I don't have to move them, they're put in there by the system. So the goal here is to get to inbox zero and to do that on all of your emails, because if you're anything like me, you've probably got more than one. So go ahead and look through all those emails, clean them out, file the things that you still need to keep, put them on hard drives, put them on folders inside of the inbox, but try and get the actual inbox to zero. Moving on to point number 5, clean your desktop. Your desktop is like your digital landing page for the day. It's the first thing you see when you open your computer. You don't want it cluttered, you want it to be clean and focused so that your computer work can be clean and focused. With that in mind, I like to only have apps on my desktop that are daily use apps, and absolutely no files. No files. I find it very unlikely that there is a file so important that you have to open it every day. Therefore, there should be no files on your desktop. Delete them or file them away onto a hard drive. Do not have them on the desktop. The only thing that should be on your desktop are daily use apps. Step number 6, kind of similar, clean your downloads folder. Your downloads folder is not a place to store things. Your downloads folder is a temporary storage space. Anything that you download should be either deleted after the one-time use that you used it for, or it should be filed onto a hard drive where you can find it in an actual subfolder that's helpful. My rule of thumb is that the downloads folder should always be empty. Anything you download should be used and then deleted, or used and then filed. I love using backup drives to archive all of my files. I have these hard drives I buy, they're just like 1, 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte drives, and I have different drives for different purposes, and any file or document I create or download gets ultimately stored on these drives, so that nothing is actually saved to my computer, and I know if I want to find something, I can just go to that drive. For example, I've got drives for different assets that I use inside of my videos. I've got drives for personal projects and personal documentation. I've got drives for old projects, and that goes back quite a while. And I've got drives for tutorials and different test projects that I've run as well, or old projects I've decided not to pursue. And inside of each of these drives is a really helpful folder structure so I can actually find things. So inside of my project drives, I can break it down by client and by personal projects or YouTube videos like this. Inside of my assets drive, I have it broken down into overlays and VFX assets, sound effects, music. It's really important to have a folder structure that makes it really easy to find what you're looking for. You don't want to just save all of your things that relate to your assets for video into one video drive. You want to categorize them using subfolders and actually having a hierarchy and a structure to your drives. This way you can really find things when you need them. It's also important to note that not everything has to be saved onto an archive. I only archive things I plan to look at again or use again in the future. Everything else can just be deleted. It's also really important to make sure that all the files inside of your archive drives have helpful names. We don't want to have image 12345. You want to have something like receipt from this camera product or whatever it might be. You want to have helpful names so you can actually find things. That's the point of these backup drives. So go ahead and clear out your backup drives to start with, and then start using them to store all of the files and documents from your other devices, whether it's your computer, your laptop, your phone, whatever it is. I like to store all of that inside of these hard drives. Now, it doesn't have to be hard drives. If a cloud drive is what works for you, then go ahead and do the same thing with a cloud drive. Use that as your backup, which segues us nicely into point number 8, which is to clean out your iCloud storage. So as I said, I save everything onto my archive drives. They're physical hard drives. So I sort of use my cloud storage drives as a downloads folder, a temporary solution for downloading things on the internet, storing things from other people, but ultimately it's going to get filed away onto my archive drives. So I'm going to apply the same procedures. I'm going to delete anything that I no longer need, and if I do need it, I'm going to download it off of the cloud drive and back it up onto my archive drive, onto my backup drives, wherever it might be, inside of the folder structure where it's helpful and it can be found with a nice name. And then I can just delete it from my cloud drives because I don't want to store things there permanently. And step number 9 is kind of similar, but look through all of your other cloud drives as well. This could be Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, whatever it is. Apply the same principles to them. Delete things you don't need, file the things you want to keep. Now, it's worth noting here that if you are one of those people who is trying to permanently store things on the cloud and you don't use backup drives, you can reverse this process. So look at things that are on your backup drives and clear them onto your cloud drive so you can delete your backup drives. Just reverse these last couple of steps. Do whatever works for you. Number 10, and this one is a doozy. Clean out your photos on your phone. I know so many people that have tens of thousands of photos and videos just stored on their phone, on their iPad, whatever it might be. And then when they want to find things, they're just scrolling forever trying to find the one photo they're referencing. I personally want to save all of my photos onto my archive drives and I actually want to clean them off of my phone. The first step to cleaning your photos out is just to delete anything that you're not going to look at again. Anything that was a quick photo to just send to someone that you don't need to see again or you don't plan on seeing again. Anything that was for logistical purposes like schedules or timesheets for different days and different events that have now passed, just go ahead and delete those to start off with. It's also worth noting that you don't need to keep all the photos from a certain event or activity. Often we like to just go into burst mode and shoot a million different photos, or when people airdrop you photos, they just airdrop you all of them. You usually don't need them, and there's a lot of duplicates in there. I like to go through and pick out the best ones, and then I have just the highlight reel of that event, the photos that I actually thought were interesting and cool, and not every single photo that was taken. I can just delete those other ones. So I'll show you a before and after of my phone photos. Before, you can see I have a bunch of different photos and videos, and they're all just thrown into this one folder, and it's all random and all over the place. But now you can see that I've really cleaned it out. I've only got photos and videos from some of the more recent or more exciting events that might actually come up in conversation with friends or family. And I've also got some of my best photos from recent photo shoots in case I want to show clients my work. And if you're one of those people that does have tens of thousands of photos on your phone and this seems like a very daunting task to file them all away, can I suggest making a habit of it? Even if you just spend 2 minutes a day filing away some photos, or even just 10 or 20 photos a day. Eventually, after days of tracking that progress, those numbers will start to decrease, and eventually you'll have a digitally minimized phone. Moving on to step number 11, let's clear out some files from other apps on our computer, on our phone, on our iPad, whatever it might be. Some apps are cheeky. They sort of store files inside of the app itself, and we want to clean those out and file them as well. For example, things like voice memos on your phone, They store voice memos and recordings inside of the app itself, and those can stack up quickly, so go ahead and file them away. Also look at things like Apple Notes or any drawing apps like Procreate or Freeform. Those things all store separate little files inside of the app, which we can go ahead and file away or delete if they're no longer useful to us, because we want to clean out all those apps so we're very focused about how we're using them. And finally, point number 12, delete presets from old apps, especially the ones that you are no longer using. Things like the Alarms app, where you've saved millions of alarms over the years, but you only really use the 1 or 2 today. All those other ones can be deleted, they're just cluttering up your phone and your brain. Also look at the Shortcuts app, maybe there's old shortcuts you're no longer using. Look at your maps, maybe there's old routes that you've saved that you no longer go to or use anymore. Have a look at your web bookmarks, that's another one that's huge for me at least. Have a look through all those web bookmarks. You've probably saved a bunch of websites you've never returned to. If you haven't returned to them in the last, say, 90 days, and you don't plan to in the next, then as per usual, go ahead and get rid of them. You're probably not going to look at them because they're obviously adding no value to you. So have a look out for those apps where presets might have been saved or things might have been bookmarked, and go ahead and clean those out as well. So there you have it. Those are my 12 steps for doing an initial digital declutter. Now, of course, this is not the end. The challenge is to maintain the simplicity and the cleanliness of your devices now. The way I do that is I actually have some rules that I implement to help me maintain the digital declutter. If you want to know what those are, drop a comment down below and maybe I'll make a video on it. I really hope this video has helped you. I've seen so much value from having a simple and decluttered digital life. I never realized just how much stress and anxiety I felt about having all of this clutter on my devices until I cleaned it out and saw the benefits of having a minimal setup. Now my technology is really contributing towards my goals. It's helped me to reach them and it's helped me to stay organized instead of distracting me and making me so stressed about all the things I should or could be doing. Ultimately, digital minimalization has helped me to live more like my heroes, so I hope it can help you in the same way. Thanks so much for watching, keep being your heroes, and I'll see you soon.